This week on ICN, the stories you should have heard, but didn't. Can you foreclose on a country? Ecuador says no mas to creditors. Speaking of bankruptcies, they're up 30% in the US for 2008. The IMF warns of riots if the global economy continues its downward spiral. Military police, a story from California that blurs the lines. Those stories and more, next on Informed Citizen News. Hello, and welcome to ICN, Informed Citizen News, December 21st, 2008. Once again, our lead story is on the economy. The foundation of the global economy is based on the promise to pay. When that promise is broken often enough, then the system breaks down. Since 2007, we have seen increasing numbers of individuals and companies not paying their loans. Now you can add countries to the list. Ecuador has informed the global community that they will not be paying back their foreign debt. Ecuador's decision was not financial, it was political. They could afford to pay, but are unwilling. They call foreign debt immoral. Ecuador's president is an economist. He knows how the international debt system works and is choosing not to play. They said they're ready to accept any consequences for the benefit of being financially sovereign. To no one's surprise, there were over 1 million bankruptcies in 2008. That's a 30% increase over 2007 totals. At the current pace, bankruptcies will increase another 30% in 2009 to over 1.4 million. That brings us back to our original question at the top of the broadcast. When people, businesses, and countries don't pay back their loans, what happens to a system that is built on the promise to pay? Not many trust government statistics. An article in Business Week exposed the misleading official unemployment numbers put out by the U.S. government. The government recently reported that unemployment in the U.S. reached 6.7%. This was an increase from 4.7% in 2007. To be counted as unemployed in this statistic, a worker must not have a job, be currently available for work, and have actively sought employment within the last 4 weeks. In other words, a lot of the jobless are left out of the government's published tally. If one researches hard enough, a statistic not widely published can be found within the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. It's referred to as U6. U6 captures the total unemployed plus what the agency calls marginally attached workers or those employed part-time for economic reasons. For November 2008, that rate was 12.5%. Nearly double the official unemployment rate and the highest since the government started tracking this category. The U.S. government publishes information at their discretion, and only through good reporting can the American people get to the real truth. Hats off to Business Week for getting at the true unemployment numbers. This week, the head of the IMF warned, in what was called a remarkably blunt speech, if the global economy continues to decline, more incidents of unrest and riots will occur. He also claimed that violent protests could break out in countries worldwide if the financial system was not restructured from favoring a small elite. This smells of twisted irony, as the IMF was born and built to benefit the elite. 2 weeks ago, ICN reported a story about the federal government deploying 20,000 combat troops inside the U.S. by 2011. Another story blurs the lines between the military and civilian police occurred this week in California. The Marine Corps Military Police, known as MPs, assisted the California Highway Patrol in setting up a sobriety checkpoint in front of a local Yucca Valley Home Depot. Citizens were confused and unsettled to see uniformed military working side by side with the Highway Patrol. Many people voiced their complaints to local radio stations, and the story was covered by the local television news. The duty of the press is to monitor and report on any threat to American freedom and liberty. ICN will continue to report these stories as they occur. Conventions are notorious for being rowdy places and nothing more than an excuse for a party. Well, how about a constitutional convention? A constitutional convention can occur if either 2/3 of the Congress or 2/3 of the states make the formal request. The purpose of the convention is to propose new amendments. Then, 3/4 of the states must approve before any can become amendments to the Constitution. Did you know that as of this report, 32 states have submitted requests to convene a constitutional convention? Ohio's legislature is going to vote on adding their name to the list. If Ohio formally makes the request, then only one more state request would be required in order to hold a constitutional convention. With only 10% of people approving of Congress's job performance, do you really want them messing around with changing the Constitution? Thank you for joining ICN this week. Americans need to be informed, so please send our link to your family and friends. From all of us at Informed Citizen News, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.